Yes, it is quite unusual. It is a temporary agreement between Beijing and Manila about allowing the Philippines resupply missions to operate at the second Thomas Shoal, which is at the heart of the disputed waters between China and the Philippines. While both countries confirmed the agreements to jointly manage maritime differences and de-escalate the situation, the actual language they use is actually quite different. Beijing claimed that, with the Philippines informing China in advance, they could allow this to happen, while the Philippines actually firmly opposed these statements, which is very interesting because China has used such a diplomatic approach in a number of disputed area, including its language about the sovereignty disputes with Taiwan in the past. So it would be great to watch what will happen in the next couple of weeks.
Indeed. So in your mind, why is this shift happening now, the fact that even China is prepared to discuss this?
It's interesting that the timing of these arrangements comes as the conclusion of the Communist Party's 20th third Plenum, which is a very significant meeting that sets the tone for the Chinese economy, military development, national security, and foreign policies for the next 10 years. And it is clearly that the Chinese President Xi Jinping has been trying to adopt a very different foreign policy stance, particularly in a document which was released by the Chinese government in about 22,000 words. China actually said that they want to become the leading role to keep the peace in the region.
That is interesting. Now, there are a lot of disputes going on in the South China Sea. Do you think this could filter through to other countries going forward?
It's very interesting. I do believe that countries around the South China Sea are closely watching what's going on between Beijing and Manila. But when you look at the actual situation right now, there was indeed a certain moment at the South China Sea, you found that the situation has de-escalated for a bit, but we don't know how long this will continue. And another interesting point I think we need to look at is that due to the disagreements that China and the Philippines has at the moment, we don't know how both countries can carry out such a arrangement peacefully. And when you look at the economic bonding between those two countries, which is more surprisingly to many people, that China was the biggest trading partner to the Philippines. And in the past 30 years, since the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Waters went effective, the actual narrative between China and the Philippines had never changed, even though China's military presence was expanding. So due to all of this complexity, I do believe that China's stance currently and its first priority is the domestic downturn of economy and how to maintain the security in the region and maintain the international community's confidence in the investment environment in the country is the first priority.
Yeah, and then that's really taken a bit of a hit. Let's look at this rather unusual story. Malaysia has detained an oil tanker that was involved in a collision. It's quite an intriguing little story.
Yes. Two oil tankers were spotted on fire and collided near Singapore. It was one of the busiest global sea lanes, and it was the world's biggest refueling ports. And it was at the heart of the path for the oil supplies between Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. What's interesting is that after the collision, one of the oil tanker actually just went away and turned off its tracking system. So there is no explanation about where it headed and what has happened, even though 2 people were hospitalized and the rest of the crews were rescued safely. And the most interesting part is that Malaysian authorities, they announced that they managed to track it down and also intercepted it by, with towed away that tanker by 2 tugboats. So it's going to be very interesting to see how and what will happen about this incident.
Yes, because it's believed too that this tanker could be involved in sort of dark oil supply delivery.
Yes, and the investigation is undergoing, and it's going to be interesting to watch.
It'll be very interesting. But always great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Bev.